Here's a news flash for you. Nobody cares what you want for your business or what you think it's worth. And let me be as clear as I can on this. Your business is not worth what you need to retire. It's not worth what the broker told you on a Zoom call during the free valuation. It's not worth whatever formula your CPA applied to the book value of your assets. And it sure as shit isn't worth what your buddy's buddy said that he got for his SaaS startup. Your business is worth exactly what a buyer is willing to pay and not a penny more. And if that gives you a little bit of a pucker, good, because comfort is the drug that keeps owners stuck in fantasy land. So today we're going to talk about what buyers actually pay for and why your number might be fiction.
Meet your host, Ben Brickweg, CEO, attorney, M&A advisor, exit strategist, a husband and a dad, worked with more than 2,000 business owners across industries. Before we get rolling, let's get one thing straight. Just because your host, Ben Brickweg, is a licensed attorney, a FINRA registered rep, and an M&A advisor, doesn't mean anything on this show is legal advice, financial advice, or investment advice. And it damn sure isn't tailored to your situation. If you're looking for that kind of help, and you better believe you should be, hire someone who has your back and knows what they're doing. Buckle up, Buttercup. Here we go.
And I know I beat up on buyers a lot and I beat up on brokers a lot, but an equally dangerous force in the exit world is what I call the rumor merchants. Ironically, these are one of the 4 horsemen of your exit apocalypse that we cover in my book called The 4 Horsemen of Your Exit Apocalypse. And these rumor merchants are really, I'll give you some examples, right? Rumor merchants are people like that college buddy who sold a startup and now thinks he's the next Warren Buffett, or a guy at the conference who knows somebody who got 10 or 12x for a plumbing company, but he's a little fuzzy on whether that was 10 or 12x on revenue or EBITDA or SDE. A rumor merchant can be the broker with the big, thick book with rules of thumb and antiquated and dated calculations and formulas that thinks he can tell you what the business is worth solely by looking at your financial statements. And the problem is these rumor merchant folks toss around these lines like 5x revenue is the market, or strategics are paying insane premiums, or you really ought to get what you need to walk away clean and retire happy. All of this is just bullshit without context. Unless these people have sat in a room while a deal died over things like working capital or watched a buyer walk because of inconsistent revenue, they don't know a damn thing about the exit. And if you're taking advice from people who've never done deals, you're already screwed. And so one of the most dangerous phrases in the game is, I need at least X million to retire. Cool story, bro. Nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit. Buyers don't care what you need. They care what the business earns, what the risks are, what the returns are. You see, you may be trying to sell your dreams, but that's not what they're buying. They're buying a stream of cash. So trying to get a buyer to overpay because you didn't plan your financial life, tough shit. That's not a deal. That's a hostage negotiation that's not going to go your way, because buyers aren't in the ransom business. I'm going to talk about what actually drives value, and I don't think it's multiples. Everybody talks about these multiples, but I want you to look at it a different way. It's not about the 3x, the 4x, the 6x. These feel comforting, they're objective, people sound smart when they say them, and I see brokers all the time pulling a number out of the back of the rules of thumb book, and it's probably a version from 6 years ago, and now they call it market-based. The truth is that multiples aren't the value. They just reflect value of things that happen within the company. And you don't deserve a multiple. You don't get one. You're not awarded a multiple. You don't get a certificate with your multiple on it. You have to earn it and you have to justify it. And you do that by having what we call value boosters. And that's things like clean financials and real systems within the business. A business model that can transfer to a new owner. And most importantly, a believable path forward where a buyer looks and thinks that they can come in and buy the business and not only continue what you've been doing, but grow it bigger and bigger. And the reality is, I've seen companies doing $5 million in earnings struggle to get a 2x multiple because the business was terrible. But I've seen companies with $2 million in earnings pull a 5x multiple because they were buttoned up, clean, and bankable. So I want you to stop asking, what's the multiple for my industry? And start thinking about, why would a buyer pay more for this business? What's better about this one? And how would we get them to pay more and pay a larger multiple because the business is healthier? And when we look at buyers in the marketplace, they're all after really 3 basic things. It's what they care about. It's simple, it's brutal, it's real, but this is what I see. Your business needs to do 3 things with the cash flow that's generated. It needs to pay someone to run it. And whether that's the new owner, whether it's a hired CEO, depending on your size and complexity of the business, somebody has to keep it moving when you're gone. And if a buyer has to step in and do all of the things that you do, roll up their sleeves, be the engine of the business deal gets just much less attractive. The cash flow also has to service the debt, whether that's an SBA loan, it's an institutional loan, it's private equity or leveraged private equity, or cousin Jimmy paid something in. Debt comes first. It always comes first. And don't you dare get in this world of saying, oh, I'll just have a rich guy buy it. Because where's the rich guy getting his money? Sure, he's got it, but he's not going to take his cash out of an interest-producing bank account to drop it into buying your business without getting a return on it. So if you want to play semantics, it's not always about servicing the debt. It can be a return on capital. But the point is, debt comes first. There has to be enough money generated by the business to justify the acquisition price. And then number three, there has to be some upside. There has to be extra cash flow. Buyers aren't buying the business where everything is run tight. They need extra profit to go through dry spells or to invest in growth initiatives. So if there's no margin left for growth or return, they're not going to do it. Those are my three rules. They may be overly simple, but I want those to be on the top of your mind as you think through this. And it's not necessarily the earnings number or how they'll calculate an offer, but this is how they're filtering deals based on cash flow long before they'll ever even meet with you, let alone write an offer. So if your business can't do all three of these things, you're not going to get a serious look from buyers. Or if you do, your offer is going to come with a bunch of strings attached, a big discount, or punitive terms that act like a leash on you after the sale. They might not run this officially. This isn't the quality of earnings approach or any of the other fancy buzzwords you see, but you better believe this is what buyers are thinking in their heads the second they see their teaser and decide if they're going to move forward. Because if that deal doesn't pencil in the real world in this math that they're looking for, they're going to just pass you over. They're not going to blink. They're not going to think. They'll just keep going. So the thing that drives offers is the reality. It's not the romance of it. And if you're not in this mindset, if you don't know this, you're the problem. It's where the wheels fall off of deals. It's where I see too many owners pricing their business based on what they want. They anchor that asking price, that number, to what they need to retire. And then they take advice from people who've never closed a deal or people who only stand to make a commission if the deal closes. And I see too many of these good businesses that otherwise would have been sellable on reasonable terms. They just sit there. They sit on the market. They sit for months, sometimes years. They cycle through 3 or 4 different brokers. And meanwhile, these nasty rumor merchants keep whispering to them, oh, you just haven't found the right buyer. Oh, you need to hold out for a strategic buyer. Oh, you're worth way more than that, bro. Don't settle. Well, let me tell you this as bluntly as I can. The right buyer won't even show up if your price doesn't make sense. You're not going to get rewarded for holding out at a higher price. You're going to get punished because the longer you sit on the market, the colder your deal gets and the more leverage you lose. So to recap it, what's your business actually worth? It's worth whatever the hell a buyer is willing to pay for it. They don't care what you need. They don't care what someone told you. They don't care what your broker promised to get you when he convinced you to sign the listing agreement. And so if you want to increase that number, cool, but you've got to do the work. It's not about having bigger dreams. It's about getting clear. It's about cleaning house. It's about fixing what the buyers actually care about. And in a future episode, we'll walk through the real buyer landscape and talk about what different buyers are looking for. But for now, head on over to exitworthy.com/gifts. I've got some guides, tools, books, and other things over there that we've built to help you figure out this exit journey. There's no fluff, no theory, no bullshit, just tools that work. And remember, you didn't build this company just to guess at its value and hope that you sell it. So let's get clear, let's get you paid, and let's get you out on your own terms.